John, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, sir. It's good to be back.
Dude, I am so excited to have you back, man. It has been just such a long time.
So yeah, I mean, I can't remember the last time I was on the podcast, but I do know that it's been about 5 years since I'd shot 3-gun.
Jesus.
Yeah, like the last 3-gun match I shot was maybe like 2017 or something like that. And that was the Surefire match in Vegas because I still lived there at the time.
Yeah.
And then since then, it was all single stack focused to try and get ready for World Shoot. And then COVID ruined all that.
Womp womp.
So
COVID ruined a lot. How about the government response to COVID ruined a lot? There was just like a massive pause in, I mean, I guess we'll stick only to firearms related things, matches. How about that? It'll make me happier. But yeah, man, it really stopped the momentum of a lot of things. And I feel like a lot of people took that pause and didn't come back.
Well, you know what? I think that there was a lot of stuff that happened that just snowballed and caused problems for the 2A community for sure. But, you know, from the very beginning, being that, you know, back when I lived in Vegas, I was working EMS. I did that for 8 years.
Yeah.
And when I saw all the reactions and how everything was being handled, I called it from the beginning saying, like, watch, they're going to overreact. And then the government's going to be like, well, what do we do now? Because we overreacted, but we screwed up. Do we just come out and say,
back? You can't admit you're wrong.
Like, do we come out and say that we were wrong and we're sorry? And, you know, but we were just trying to, okay. And I was like, that's not going to happen. They're going to try and find some way to gradually step it down. Like, oh, yep, it's getting better. The virus is getting easier to deal with. We're working it. I was just like, watch, this is going to be such a shit show over the next few years. And sure enough, here we are. You know, the
and you
greatest,
were right.
The best economy that's ever been, with the most popular president that's ever been elected, and you know, we're all going to be Chinese, which you're screwed, but I'll fit right in.
I need you to put in a good word for me. Like, no, he's one of the good ones.
Yeah, exactly right. He's Asian by association.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you bring up the or that we started there. I think that segues perfectly into something you told me just before you started here. But you're no longer in Nevada; you're in Missouri.
Yeah. So, you know, I had a daughter with Kelly, my girlfriend, and her family came out and visited us in Vegas. And then when COVID was easing up, like we could start traveling, but like the planes were still empty because everyone was still scared.
It was the best time.
It was amazing. I'll tell you what, man. I miss social distancing. Like, stay 6 feet away from me. I don't need you humping my shoulder, right?
Also, cover your damn face. I don't want to see you. It's right. It's not the germs. I just don't want to see your ugly face.
Yes, and I love having an excuse to be able to roll my eyes and mouth without you knowing that I'm doing it. But
I guess there were some good things.
There were some good things. But so we came out here to visit because her family is from here. I'm in Chillicothe, Missouri, a very small town, home of sliced bread. And the first time we came out and visited, I was like, boy, there's just a lot of green out here. And we went fishing and we went, you know, we didn't go hiking necessarily, but like we walked through timber and woods. So it was basically hiking what we call in Vegas, but it was just kind of more like a walk, and you just end up walking through property, right? It was laid back. We had a bunch of thunderstorms and it was just so cool. So I was just like, all right, that was kind of nice. And then went back to Vegas, and then we visited a second time, and I was, I think I really like it here. I could see myself moving here in a couple of years, you know, fly back home. And the third time I was like, all right, just wondering. And I pull up Zillow and I start looking at property value, and I was like,
yeah,
huh? We're leaving. We're leaving Vegas. We're done with Vegas. We're coming here. And I mean, since then, it's just been a whirlwind of fun and outdoors and just loving life. Like I got into hunting. It took me 34 years to realize that I enjoy hunting. So yeah, it's been a great decision to move out here. Everything, like the small town living is awesome. Like I'll say there's things I miss. I miss good sushi. Believe it or not, there's just not really good sushi here in Missouri.
Yeah, I believe it. Even though you guys got rivers, but come on, man.
Yeah, some raw catfish. Nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. Um, very, very few Asians around. I noticed
Yeah,
there's an
I was
awful
gonna
lot of
say,
honkies around here.
you're very tall and tan.
Yeah, yeah, but no, it's just awesome. Like I love the fact that when I drive on the freeway, I can literally set the cruise control and just
Yeah.
drive. And like, funniest thing was, so after we moved here, about 8 months later, I had to leave for a business trip. And as I was driving on one freeway, getting ready to turn onto the other, we came to a stoplight. I'm in the turn lane, and the person to the right of me is in the lane to go straight. And as soon as the light turns green, this person just guns it and cuts me off to turn left, right? And in my head, I was just like, man, that was such a Vegas move. Like, that was such a Vegas thing to do. And once I got back behind him, I looked at their license plate, and it was a Nevada license plate.
Oh,
And I was
no
like,
kidding.
that's why it felt so familiar, because that's probably where they were from. It was funnier than hell. But yeah, no, everything has just been awesome since the relocation.
That's fantastic, dude. Yeah. So I live in Cheyenne, Wyoming now. And same thing. Like it's like setting the cruise control, and just not even tapping the brakes until you get to your destination. I went to Denver a couple weeks ago for a buddy's birthday. And I was like, oh my God, this place has turned into Las Vegas. No offense. And like there's just trash everywhere and people that are in desperate need of some sort of medical attention all over the streets. And wow, I was like, okay, yeah, that's why I left Colorado. I do not miss this. That's great.
Yeah, it's been unreal watching the Dems destroy our populace.
Yeah. So Missouri, you mentioned like, oh, it's all green and rolling. Like that's one thing I notice every time I go to Generation 3 Gun. I love going to that match. First, it's a great match, but then second, like Missouri, the rolling hills and just the openness of everything once you get out of like Kansas City and St. Louis and stuff is just absolutely gorgeous. And did not expect that the first time I went, and it just has become like, oh, thank God we're back here. It like I can see why Missouri would be, especially with family there, would be like top of your list of places to go.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Wyoming would have been another one too. Just from what I heard, I never had a chance to visit, but like I totally would be. Like I know a buddy of mine, Kim Sholden, who anyone that knew anything about the Vegas shooters and who he was, like, this big old Viking dude that like if you ran into him in a dark alley, you would fear for your life. But if you were friends with him, you would want him to be the guy you ran into in a dark alley because you knew you'd be safe from everything and everyone. Amazing dude. And he actually relocated his family to Wyoming. Like he was head of Hakkasan security group. He had an awesome job, awesome gig there. And he was just like, nope, done with Vegas. Left, bought an insurance company, like wasn't sure how to do anything with
like
insurance.
An agency?
Yeah. Bought himself an Allstate branch and started getting into insurance, and he's been killing it out there. But he'll post videos and pictures of like a bunch of wild turkeys out in his front yard that are just they're chilling for the day and whatnot. I'm like, man, shoot them!
At least go tackle one.
Yeah, get your suppressed shotgun and go blow one of the heads off. But I mean, there's been a lot of people I think that have been like, yep, we're done and upped and left. Like it's not 10 years ago. It was awesome, but
yeah. Another high school friend and I were talking about that when we were in high school. Like houses in Las Vegas were like dirt cheap, and they were just building the suburbs and stuff. And he kept trying to get his dad to like invest in a couple places out there. And before the COVID insanity, he would have like 20x'd his investment. It was just incredible. But the state of Nevada, well, so California is a cancer. I'll start there. And it infiltrates all things or messes it up. And Nevada, yeah. It's like note to self, 951. I'll have to delete that. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah. Nevada being the closest to California, and then having Las Vegas there, where a lot of people from LA go to party and things like that. I think from the outside, and you can tell me your perspective, the state of Nevada reacted in like lockstep with California and then did not see the signs early enough to like what's it called? I guess loosen restrictions. And then in a town, Las Vegas, that is based on tourism and hospitality and meetings of all things, like the NRA show, or not the NRA show, the SHOT Show, the concrete show, like freaking everything. It really did a serious amount of damage, and it seems like completely irresponsible of someone lawmakers who are, or I guess policymakers, who are supposed to be enriching their states to do that. It's like they just choked out Las Vegas.
Dude, our governor was such a freaking sissy. He refused. Basically, his game plan was whatever California does, I'm going to mimic, so that if anything goes wrong, we can blame California.
Yeah.
So he just refused to step up and be the leader that the city needed. That guy's a freaking weasel. I don't think he's in office anymore, and unfortunately, he was in office for a few years too long. But like I said, I'm glad to be out of Vegas. I'm super happy to be in Missouri, and I'll tell you what, dude, I was having so much fun. It's not that I wasn't having fun shooting single stack, but the idea this year when I went to Armstrong Rock Island, or obviously who I work for, and I told them, I was like, look, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to try for the next World Shoot slot again, for sure, but I need to shoot some 3-gun. Like it's been. It's fun. I need to break the monotony of single stack. For 7 years, I've shot single stack.
One for every round in the gun,
bro. So don't get me wrong, I love shooting single stack is by far now my favorite division to shoot, because you have to get so creative with stage planning and execution, and there's no room for error. Like, you think production's tough with 10 rounds plus one, like, man, take 2 more out and there you go. Like now we're really having a good time, right?
Let's talk about that for a little bit. So I got the opportunity to shoot a 1911, which is a video I'm gonna be putting out on the Prep and Press YouTube channel coming soon. It was a Dan Wesson specialist, I believe, and it was loaned to me by a friend. I'm like, oh yeah, I would absolutely take the opportunity to shoot that. And the shooting experience of a 1911 is so enjoyable, and it gets those dumb wheels in my head turning of like, maybe I'll give single stack a try, So tell me some reasons I shouldn't shoot single stack.
No, you should.
I should. Oh man,
absolutely. Because here's the thing, and shooting single stack, like I said before, like, you don't have room for error. Mm-hmm. You have to learn how to execute your plan to the T, which also is going to teach you patience, because now you don't have 6 makeup shots. And if I throw 3 at that steel before I hit it, I'm still fine. You've got maybe 1 makeup shot, and then every position after that is 8, which means you're going to slide lock for the rest of the stage, kind of thing. Like, to be able to have that kind of pressure and then handle it and execute your stage plan, even if you have the miss and you have to do slide lock, to then execute the next few positions perfect and just, yep, that went good. Yep, that went good. Like, that does nothing but boost your confidence and teaches you, like I said, about patience, about, look, like we always talk about, a first round hit on steel is typically faster than 3 fast makeup shots before you hit it.
Mm-hmm.
More times than not, that's going to be the case.
Yeah, building that position. So are you talking about like a pistol, or are you talking about rifle in this specific example you just gave?
Yeah, pistol.
Okay, copy. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like, I don't know, it's just shooting single stack. And like I said, the other thing too, that you will benefit from, that your entire shooting game will benefit from, is your ability to stage plan. Because if you can stage plan with around 8+1 rounds for a 32 round course of fire, and you find a very efficient way to make it happen, or a way that at least is going to be easiest for you to remember, and then you're able to execute it, dude, all it does is help you out when you've got 30 or 40 rounds in a rifle, or you've got 23 rounds in a pistol. Like, your stage planning is just going to become that much easier for you to be able to find the flow of the stage. There's stages. There was a stage at, where the hell was I just at? the Free State Kansas City match, or Kansas match, right? Which is a USPSA match. I went and shot open because I was getting ready for multi-good nationals, so I wanted to get some more time behind my open pistol. And there were a couple stages where I was looking around, I was just like, man, open's boring. I wish I was shooting single stack right now. Like, this stage would be so much fun to have to break down shooting a single stack
instead of just hosing.
So, yeah, instead of just be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do one reload and it's gonna be right here for the last 8 shots. Like, it's like, oh god, like. So, and we had a single stack guy on our squad, so luckily I was able to live vicariously through him and watch him shoot the stages. But but no, yeah, this year it was funny. So not only am I making my return to 3-gun, I'm also returning in a division I'd never shot before, which is open.
Yeah. Okay, so you got a lot going on right now. So back up real quick. You're still working for Arms Corps Rock Island?
Yep.
Okay. So working for Arms Corps Rock Island, you moved to Missouri. You spent 7 years shooting single stack. You're switching from single stack back to 3-gun, and you're like, oh, I guess I'll see what this rifle does again. But not only that, but now you got open gear to worry about. Like, yeah, John, hey, maybe baby steps, bro. Like,
anything worth doing is worth overdoing, man.
Yeah.
Moderation is for cowards.
Yeah, no joke. I mean, but this actually fits like your personality so well. Like, you're just an all in type of guy. So I love it. So you did just shoot a match though. You shot a 3-gun match. You shot Zombies in the Heartland, right?
Yes, and that is a match that, like, since I started shooting 3-gun, and as soon as The Walking Dead blew up, became what it was. Like, it was a match that I always wanted to go to, but I could never justify the reason for going. Like, it was not a nationals or anything like that, so it was just a fun match to want to go shoot. So the fact that now it was only a 3.5 hour drive from me, I'm like, yes, I'm finally getting to shoot the match that I've always wanted to, which was very different. With the whole setup, like, everything is a headshot unless there's like a clay in the body, and then you have to shoot the clay and then shoot the head, or if there's like, the rules were a little different than what I'm used to. But
I saw that they had the stages published, and they were all in the pistol bays. So the match was in Grand Island. I don't know if it's something like the town of blah blah blah, park and recreation thing, sponsored by Hornady. Right, but everyone just calls it the Hornady range. So, like, it's the
Heartland shooting range.
Shooting range. There you go. Yeah. But Hornady has a very big contributor to that range. So,
oh yeah, the Hornady factory is like 10 minutes away.
Yeah,
and you can, when you're there for their matches, you can like schedule time to go and ask for like a walk around. They'll show you the factory and stuff like that.
Which I would absolutely do, because it's quite amazing. The facility there, it's pretty, as like maybe, I don't know, I'm a manufacturing nerd. I love watching stuff be made and things like that. And not only do they like make projectiles, but they make the machines that make the projectiles, which I thought was awesome. And so like that part of it like totally nerded out. But anyway, check that part out. But anyway, so the range does have long distance, but I saw that it was only 50 yards and in for the match. That, from several people that I had talked to, that kind of turned them off from going to the match. However, the people that I talked to that went really enjoyed it, but they said it was like a completely different game. So maybe, and you can tell me your thoughts on this, maybe that's a good transition from going single stack to 3-gun, is like, okay, let's stick in the bay. I'm comfortable in the bay.
It absolutely was. Like, there was a lot of pressure. Like, for me, that match really was about, okay, I just wanted to get comfortable with having multiple stage plans in my head again, because I shot 2-gun nationals 2 or 3 years ago. And I made the mistake of assuming that I was going to treat that just like any other USPSA pistol match. So I flew in the day before, and I landed at like, I don't know, like 4:00 p.m. or something like that. So not even really time to like go to the range and check anything out. I just showed up and I was just like, I'll walk the stages when I get there and whatever. Because USPSA, like, there's times where I walk up to a stage I haven't even looked at before, and I'm able to come up with my stage plan within the 5 minutes that I'm given. Right. So I kind of treated it.
Are you special, or is that experience?
No, yeah, it's just more like the confidence in knowing my stage planning abilities, and then the mindset of even, let's just say you have the best, perfect, absolute, amazing stage plan ever. If you execute it to 80%, you're going to get beat by the guy that has the 80% okay stage plan, but he executes it to 100%, right? Yeah. So for me, it's this confidence of saying like, okay, if I can come up with a solid stage plan, might not be the best one, but if I can come up with a solid one and execute it, I'll be fine, right? So I went to 2-gun. Holy crap, wrong thing to do was to show up and just say, I'm going to walk stages the day of, because one, I had to get, like, I was very rusty having 2 stage plans in my head and remembering which one I was executing. Like there was a handful of times where like I'm shooting the pistol, get to the position, and I brought it up on a rifle target. Like, nope, that's the wrong shape. There it is, multiple times that happened. And if it wasn't for, I was lucky enough that I got paired up with Josh Freilich, Scott Green, Joe Farewell. Like I had all these awesome guys, Cody Leeper. We were all squatted together, and I was just so lucky that I'm friends with them and they're nice to me, because I was like, guys, I need help. What do I do on this stage? There's too much for me to try and comprehend. So they helped me out a ton at that match, and I was like, okay, lesson learned. These are not it's a USPSA match, but when you got more than one gun, you need to show up a day before so you can get a little bit more time walking through. So for Zombies of the Heartland, I showed up like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so I could walk stages and just get comfortable, like I said, with having those multiple stage plans. And like the interesting thing that I'd never done before, whenever I shot 3-gun, I always ran regular holsters. Well, I'm shooting open, and I don't have a holster that necessarily fits my open gun except for the Safariland 014, which I've never used in a match where like I start by running down a bay and not having my handgun in my hand.
If someone's listening doesn't know what an 014 is, help us out.
So the 014 is a straight up race holster. I'm not going to say it's as scary looking as like a Ghost is, where like the Ghost just holds on to the trigger guard. That's the only thing holding the gun. The 014 at least does have a platform on the end with the little nub that sticks into the muzzle. So you've got the gun doesn't flop back and forth. Plus it retains on the trigger guard. But after that, like you can see everything about my gun minus the trigger. That's the only part that is fully covered.
It's only covering the naughty bits.
Yeah. Now it has a tensioner screw, and then it's got a physical lock on it. And when you put the lock on, like that gun does, like you can pull on it all you want and the gun's not going to come out. Like the plastic will break. That's the only way the gun's going to come out, is if you completely rip the housing out of it. Right. But I made it a point to be like, okay, I'm going to a 3-gun match. I only got the 014. So I went out and I practiced unlocking the holster before trying to draw the gun, because I was like, watch, I'm going to show up there and totally be like, I'll be pulling. And why isn't this thing coming out? Oh yeah, it's because you forgot to unlock it, dummy. Yeah. So I had to incorporate that into my training to get used to the idea of, okay, if you don't start with your pistol, you're going to have to unlock it before you can pull it out of the holster. But what I didn't practice, because it's not very typical to happen at Zombies, all of your long guns, if they're staged or laying down or something like that, all start, as they call it, cruiser ready. So that's magazine inserted, empty chamber. So I lost probably about 8 seconds in total at the match, which doesn't seem like a lot, but I mean, let's start the clock and just stand around for 8 seconds. That's how much time it lost, because
also,
I pick up the gun.
8 seconds matters a lot. When you're shooting against a bunch of killers and open, and it's all in 50 yards. 8 seconds is a big deal.
Yeah. So all the times of me picking up a gun, getting it mounted, there's the shot, click. Oh, God damn it. Forgot to load the fucking thing. Like, I'm just so that happened. I had, all these things that I knew and forgot, like maybe check your gear, check your mag springs, because my pistol ended up malfunctioning on me a whole bunch because my mag springs were completely dead, because the last time I used them was 7 years ago. So I get up there and I'm like, why isn't my gun running? I try another mag and that one's still, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Even my big sticks. And then I go home and I pull it out and I go to start racking the rounds out. And next thing you know, it's like, it's not like the bullet is up, but the bullet's like, and I go, that might have been a problem because I'm only like 5 rounds in and it's already barely coming up. So I swapped out the springs, went out, shot, no problem. So I just shot the Kansas City match, the Free State, and I shot open, and yeah, the gun ran absolutely flawless. I'm like, okay, cool. So now I know that problem's resolved. The other thing I had to figure out, so the open shotgun, Rock Island Armory, we've made the VR80 for years now, and it's been a gun that has become very popular in the multi-gun world.
There's so many VR80s at the club matches in Colorado. It's ridiculous. Like one guy picked it up and everyone's like, oh, we can go to open now? There's a ton of them.
Yeah. The Hornady match, like there was at least 2 on every squad that I walked by. Right. And I've had this thing just sitting in my safe for the last like 4 years. Like they built me one. It's awesome. I call it Jango Fett because it's all silver and it's got the blue highlights. And my pistol is colored like Boba Fett. So now I just need Mando to collect the trio. And which is the rifle that I want to build is I just need to figure out how to get silver highlights on it. Right. But, so I've got the shotgun and I'm just like, okay, cool. So I go out and I do some training with it. But when I got to the zombies, they had an all shotgun stage, and the first box, they had like a Texas Star, but it was one of those Texas Stars that like, boy, it looks a little rough and the springs and everything look maybe a little rusty. Like it's not that smooth action that like
the one
MGM,
they leave behind the shed.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the MGM Target Star that I'm used to where everything's like interchange, you chain nice silver springs and all that. Like this thing just looks like, and it's at an angle. I spent, I think, 12 rounds trying to get the 5 plates off because I didn't realize what choke I had in my shotgun.
Oh,
so I didn't know what the pattern was like. And so that was another thing. I came home and I immediately took the shotgun apart and I was just like, okay, I had a modified in there. I'm definitely going full if I ever need to do something where the targets are being problematic. Like just swap it out, go full, slow down a bit, make sure the dot's in the center of the target before you pull the trigger. Yeah, you have to, realize your pattern is going to be a little bit tighter, but I'd rather be getting all the pattern on instead because that was like almost embarrassing when something like that happens. Like I was on a squad. I wasn't on a squad with a bunch of super squad guys. I was on with a bunch. They have a division called amateur, and it's shoot whatever you bring. Right. So I'm on a squad of all these guys with amateurs, and I'm supposed to be the pro that shows up. And then I shoot 12 rounds to hit 5 plates down, and I'm just like, don't look at me. Don't look at me. I know. Okay. I know. Just don't look at me. Like,
yeah, it sounds like you're making like all the rookie mistakes again. From like what would you say, like the first 3 years of shooting 3-gun, people like just continually make the same mistakes over and over again until they stop and reassess everything and figure out like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to look at my magazine springs. I'm supposed to look at my choke.
Oh God, that's just the problem is I got too lazy. Like I barely clean 1 gun.
Yeah.
Now I want to throw 2 more in the mix, and 2 of those, or one of them, is very finicky if you don't clean it after a couple thousand rounds. My handguns, and I'll go 12, 13,000 rounds without even thinking about it. Like I'll just be like, I just put more oil in that bitch and let's go. Yeah. But like the VR80, you get a couple thousand rounds through it. Yeah, it's a good idea to pull it apart, give it a little dust off, maybe a little more oil, and then put it back together. Yeah, I'm like, all right, time to stop being lazy, time to get back to cleaning your gear and all that kind of stuff. And so, and I've actually been having a different issue that I'm dealing with right now with my rifle. So when I got to the match, I was shooting, I ditched the rifle, I go and move on, and when I'm coming back, the RO tells me, he goes, hey, when I went to go pull your bullet out, it was stuck. And when I was able to get it open, the casing came out and a bunch of gunpowder fell out. So I think your bullet's still stuck in the barrel.
Oh.
So I went and grabbed a cleaning rod, and sure enough, the bullet was still stuck in the barrel, right? And I'm like, okay, well, maybe that was just an off bullet. It happens. Like, the gun worked. I shot every round, so...
rounds are loaded a little long or something like that?
Yeah, exactly, right? So no biggie. Second stage, same thing happens. Now I'm kind of like, what's going on? Next stage, same thing happens. I'm just like, all right, this kind of sucks. So now I have to start telling the RO, like, hey, FYI, you might have to pull pretty hard to get this thing unloaded. And there's a possibility the bullet's going to get stuck in the barrel. Don't know what's going on. I don't have time to process what's going on right now, so I'm not going to worry about it. But my initial thought is thinking, okay, maybe the bullets are a little out of spec. So after the match is done, I came home and I was shooting the regular Arms Corps 55 grain FMJs, which historically that's what I always shot. No issue.
Yeah, I've shot a bunch of that, like little laser beams.
Yeah. So I happen to have a couple cases of the VMAX stuff, just a higher quality bullet, and that's the stuff I use for long range. And I know I'm weird, but we don't make anything heavier. We don't have heavier bullets for long range, so I stick with 55 grains.
I have thoughts on that if you want to hear it.
What are your thoughts?
So years ago, so for the large part of my shooting career and here at the 3-Gun Show, or I guess, well, we're Prep and Press now. So at the 3-Gun Show and Prep and Press, I've bought all the ammo that I've used. Now there have been exceptions, like IWI has provided ammo for some of the guns that they've tested for me and things like that. Mark Roth one time gave me like a couple 100 rounds of pistol ammo, but for the large part, I've bought the ammo, right? So that means like I am a bargain shopper for as much as I shoot. One time I was in Omaha, and the Cabela's there had a sale on Hornady 55 grain VMAX for cheaper than I could buy just normal M193, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's VMAX. I'm sure it's pretty good. Oh my God. I went and shot that, and they made like the tiniest little groups out of the rifle I was shooting at the time. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go buy a bunch more of this. And so I shot that for my long range for a long, long time. And the only time that it really affected me, because for people that don't know, like those little VMAX bullets, they're going really fast, and they cut through the wind like pretty darn well for a 55 grain, and they're very accurate, and you hold less because they're going so fast. So they're awesome for shooting long range, especially like if you're not good at shooting long range like I was at the time. So the only time it bothered me was when I was at Navasota in Texas at the old Dissonant Arms match, and there was a lot of wind there. And it was enough wind where everybody was having a problem, and I had a problem too. So I don't know if it was like, oh, if I was shooting 77 grain, it wouldn't be nearly as big of a problem. But I gotta say, man, like right now, like I prefer shooting heavy stuff, but I will get the round going as fast as I can. And if someone puts 55 grain VMAX on sale again, I would definitely buy a bunch because it shoots really good.
See, well, there you go.
There you go.
So yes, I came home and I looked at the 55 grain FMJ versus the VMAX, and I was like, okay, it seems like the bullet shoulder is kind of a little bit lower, so I shouldn't run into this issue as much. So I loaded some of that up in the car, went out to the range to go do some training, and sure enough, I started having the same issues again. And I was just like, okay, there's no way that this is the ammunition now.
Yeah.
So it's got to maybe be the barrel. Now, before I left 3-Gun to pursue the world shoot, man, I had a hell of a time trying to hit long range. Like apparently I'd forgotten how to shoot at anything past 100 yards. So every 3-Gun match I went to, long range was just my nemesis. Like I hated it, right? Well, if you rewind far enough in my shooting career, you'll notice that when I started getting some ARs and stuff, I used to post a lot of these videos where I would mag dump 30-round magazines as fast as I could.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's not good for barrels.
Yeah, you got a little bit of, what is it called, throat erosion or something like that?
It's called what the and you develop a whole lot of it when you do that multiple times because everyone wants to just see how fast your trigger finger goes. I had shot the crap out of my barrels so much that before the last 3-Gun match I shot back in Vegas, the Safariland match, I actually made it a point. I was like, you know what? I'm going to set up a piece of paper. I'm going to set it up at 100 yards. I'm going to get down on the ground. I'm going to bag my rifle, and I went and bought Hornady 69 grain ammunition. I was like, I'm getting rid of everything that I can think of that is potentially my issue and figure out what's going on. Dude, at 100 yards, I was shooting a 3-inch group.
Oh my God.
So that made me feel better that the last 3-Gun match I shot, it was like, okay, so I'm hold dead center, pull it, and and I see splash to the left. Okay, cool. So I hold right edge, pull it, splash to the right, and I'm like, what the like, okay, let me go back to the center. Hits high, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, the wind is not gusting that much, you know. So I just bought some new barrels. Before I left Vegas, I bought some barrels through. Well, I'm not going to say their name because I'm obviously having an issue with the barrel, and I haven't had them. I haven't gotten in contact with them to give them a chance to resolve the situation for me. But it's a very reputable company. I fully expect that they're going to have great customer service when I contact them and let them know what my issue is. But basically, I think that particular barrel might have had a dull reamer or something like that when they were making it, because I actually bought 2 barrels from that company at the time. I swapped one out for my Black Darren tactical rifle, and then I swapped one out on my, what I call it, the TARDIS, the blue rifle that I shot with Sundova Manufacturing when they were around. And this morning, actually, I took my TARDIS out and shot it with no issues, was able to rack the gun and load it, no problems. So now I know it's a barrel issue. But that was something else where I was just kind of like at the zombie match going like, what the hell is going on? Like, geez, nothing. 3-gun has not changed that much. Why is my ammo not working? Like, this is the same stuff, you know? So it's been, I'll say this. I'm not going to say it's been frustrating, because it's been fun. Like, if everything goes great all the time and you never have any problems, you're just kind of like, well, that was boring.
Well, that's where like the laziness for me comes in, of like when everything is going well, you know, of like, oh, maybe I won't clean this rifle because it's shooting really well. And then I walk myself into a situation where I should have cleaned that damn rifle. Or change magazine springs, or fill in the blank here and stuff like that. So I've gotten to the point in shooting, like if I'm going to travel for a match, it was different when I was like, you know, living in a travel trailer and traveling around the country all the time. It was like, I'd go to the next match and game on. Right. But now it's like, if I'm going to travel to a match, there's such a large expense involved in getting there that I'll go and actually shoot long range. I'll verify at 300 yards. I'll shoot some steel out to like 600 and stuff like that. All those things that like all those people told me to do over hundreds of episodes on the 3-Gun Show. And I only, you know, I guess 8-9 years later have like taken a heart. So I'm slow, but eventually I get it.
And for me too, that's the difficult thing that I'm finding right now is because, like, you know, one, I'm in a small town. Like the range that I train at is actually just the PD range, and their bay is limited. Like the furthest I can reach or stretch out is 100 yards.
What's a PB range?
PD, police department.
PD, got it.
Yeah. So the furthest I can reach from one corner to the other is 100 yards, and that's the max I got. Everything else, like, it was one of the funniest things about moving out to Missouri for me. One of the culture shock things where I was just kind of like, how is it that the next closest gun range is a 45-minute drive? Like, y'all are gun nuts, but it's like, well, yeah, because if you want to go sight something in, you just go to Joe Schmo's property, or Big Earl or whatever. He's got a 100-yard bay or whatever. So like, or he's got a clearing, not even a bay.
Yeah,
he's got a clearing where you can shoot a target at 100 yards if you want to sight in your rifle. And I'm just like,
you just call the neighbor and tell them not to walk into their pasture. For
yeah, exactly, right.
Do you guys have a lot of public land in Missouri?
There's some, but like most of them are mostly like parks.
Yeah. I remember years ago talking to you, and was it Rifle Dynamics you were testing AKs for? Is that right?
Yeah.
And didn't you do am I wrong in thinking that you did that all on public land a lot?
Nope. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That
so
was a fucking growing up scary situation.
Growing up in Colorado, you know, there's a lot of public land. We would just go to like national forest and shoot. Here in Wyoming, there's public land everywhere, although I do belong to a range. But when I lived in Texas, I was really surprised that, you know, I guess I could have, you know, taken 5 minutes on Wikipedia before I moved there, but there's like 3% public land, if that. Mm-hmm. And in Texas, and it's all private, and so ranges there are remarkably expensive to be a part of. Where I think I was paying about monthly for what I currently pay yearly for a range membership here in Wyoming, because the alternative is just like going out in Wyoming BLM land, you know, or Wyoming state land or BLM land, and shooting. So when you have like those alternatives to it, it does make it more abundant. But I could see how you got to know the local farmer where you're at.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the one problem I'm running into is finding a place to shoot long range with that's relatively close. Like I really don't mind jumping in the car and driving 45 minutes to go to a range that I know they can have 500-600 yards. But again, I'm kind of lazy.
Yeah. Well, when I was in Colorado, I had a range. I belonged to a range that I would go to and shoot like 500 yards. And it was closer than going to National Forest. However, it still took 2 hours to get there. And so 2 hours there, 2 hours back, that's 4 hours. And if you're going to go, designate 4 hours, like shoot, you should practice a lot of stuff and bring it to the range. So now you're talking about like, you've got a full 9-10 hour day of just going to the range and getting some practice in. So having something nearby where you can practice is like a cheat code in 3-gun or in USPSA, any kind of competition shooting, because one, it reduces friction, right? Because if you're like, oh man, I got to go 45 minutes to shoot, like, I really got to do some emails today. Maybe I'll do that instead. And it becomes like a chore after a while. It's definitely a time investment. So the more friction you can reduce on that, the better off you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, right now, like 100 yards, I'm feeling confident with what I'm seeing. Like God, it was so refreshing. Just the other day, actually, when I first came out here, and I was like, I'm just curious. I set up 100 yards, set up a piece of paper, got behind it, put the bipod on, brought out my bag, shot, and I was like, oh, thank God. Oh, the 3 bullets can all be covered by a nickel. That is such a refreshing thing to see, because I just thought it was me. No, apparently my barrels were all shot to hell. No, I'm so excited for Multigun Nationals. Like I'm not even. I was
going to say you brought up that bipod thing, and you're prepping for Multigun Nationals, and so bipods are something new because you came from TAC. That 45-degree offset dot, the dots in your shotgun, the shotgun itself. Like there's so much new stuff for you to get used to. Like you're less than like 30 days out from Multigun Nats. Like what's your plan here, bro?
Okay, so I'll say this: the 45-degree offset dot has not been difficult to get comfortable with, because of the fact that in TAC I was shooting 45-degree offset irons.
Oh, okay.
And I used those a lot when I was shooting TAC for all the close range stuff. So transitioning to a dot, if anything, it's just made it easier, because now I don't have to line up the front sight with the rear peep. I just have to line the dot up and pull it.
Yeah, I know it's been like several years since you've been in 3-gun. I will say that I hardly ever see anyone with offset irons anymore. Like, I don't know if it was like a function of a lot of bay matches at the time or what, but I know that like every now and then I see them, but it's not very common.
I think they became very popular before switch view became a everyday occurrence thing. Because prior to switch view, you had to grab your ring and try and twist it, and your hands are sweaty, muddy, you're in the rain. Like that became a chore, especially if you had a scope that had a really difficult stiff throw ring. So
what do you think of that? Totally off topic. What do you think of that new device that is it like a mount?
Oh,
and then
yeah.
it's like a slide on your handguard.
Oh, the trombone.
Let's try to be mature here, buddy. Come on now. Like
not gonna happen. I'm still the same John McClane that you know.
Exactly. Look who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
But no, other than looking like you're giving your rifle a trombone. What do you think of that?
I think it's innovative, which I love to see, because I feel like the firearms industry has hit a huge stalemate, right? Like you go to SHOT Show and you're just like, oh, look, there's 15 more AR companies that are all made by Aero Precision or with, Anderson Manufacturing. They just out OEM'd it or something like that, right?
Yep.
I mean, I got to say, the Rock Island Armory, we came out with the 5.0, and that seemed to be one of the hot topic items for the SHOT Show and NRA show this year, because of the recoil system and the design. Like, what was the last time you saw a gun that had a square barrel, right?
Yeah.
That was just kind of different, right?
Never.
So to see a product that is so different in what it does, and the fact that it's not a proprietary where it's like, well, if you want to use this product, you have to use our scope, but rather it's a product that, from my understanding, is you install your scope on it, get the system set up, and then it does the magnification adjustments for you based on how you slide your hand up and down the I don't know, whatever the hell it's called.
Shaft.
It's
called the shaft.
We'll call it the shaft. Yeah, see, that's how I was trying to be appropriate. Okay.
Well, if you're gonna do it, I'm following your lead, man.
Okay. So I think it's cool that someone was innovative enough to figure out a way to make that a reality. What I don't like is that I'm comfortable shooting holding my rifle a certain way, and now if I want to change the magnification, I have to change where my hand is gripped at in order to make that happen. And then what happens if it breaks? What's the contingency from there? Now I'm really screwed because I've got a complete system that is relying upon this action, and as soon as it goes down, I have to go back to the absolute fine tune of it, except now I've got stuff in the way, right? I've got thing that holds onto the ring and all. So I don't know. Like I think it's cool. It's different, and it'll definitely need to, like, hey, if they want to send me one to beat the shit out of and see what happens or how durable it is, I'd be more than happy to give it a try.
Yeah,
probably not at
I'm the
Nationals.
same place. Like I want to try it, but I don't want to buy it. You know, like I want to test one out, but I don't want to purchase one. I don't want to spend my own money on it. Simply for the fact that, like, my initial reaction is like, hey, that's cool as shit. I bet they'll sell a ton of those to guys who have an LPVO and never take their gun out of the safe, you know, until their buddy's over and like, hey, check this out. I think that part's really cool. It looks really cool on camera. I'll give them that. But I think it adds like mechanisms and additional complexity that don't necessarily need to be there if you've heard of a zip tie. Because a zip tie on the back and just flipping it over can do the same thing. So for 3 cents, you can accomplish it. And then, like you said, with the switch view, you know, that thing has worked really well for a long time. So those are my initial thoughts. But again, I haven't used one. So
it's a great solution for a problem that I don't think existed.
Yeah, I think I think that's a great way to say it. Yeah.
So, but like I said, and also it's going to be for those guys that just got FU money and what the hell? I bought one. Why? Why not? You know?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I would, I hesitate to shit on it just because, like you said, like there has not been a lot of innovation in the firearms marketplace. But I have to, because I don't know. I don't know. Like, people actually listen to what I say. So if I'm like, oh, that's the coolest thing ever, then kind of do the audience a disservice.
Well, I mean, but you got to understand, cool and necessary are two separate things.
Yeah.
Right? Like something can be cool as a Ferrari is cool as.
Yeah.
I don't need one to go get groceries. So
would I like one to go get groceries? Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, but all the boot space, it's got no boot space up in the front. You know, it's mid-engine vehicle, and you pop the bonnet, and you know.
That is the worst Italian accent I've ever heard.
Oh, I don't know. I was going for Italian. I was just going for foreign.
Well, you nailed it.
Foreign that wasn't Asian was the attempt.
Oh, man. All right, dude. Multi-gun Nats, tell me more about that. Tell me more about your prep.
Yeah, so for the most part, I haven't done anything where I've taken all three guns out and practiced like transitioning guns, because I feel like I'm pretty comfortable with that. I know how to engage safeties. I know how to, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I haven't done that.
Plus,
but really,
you can practice that at home.
Yeah. So for the most part, it's just been about knowing what I'm uncomfortable with and trying to just get as comfortable with it as possible. The biggest thing for me is still a red dot on an open gun. Like my muscle memory, because I know muscles don't actually have memory, but everything that I've done,
you're in a safe space here, bro.
Yeah. Everything that I've done has been iron sights. And like I shot Carry Optics Nationals last year, and that was a very humbling experience. From shooting single stack and all these other matches where top 15, top 20 was not to say it's not difficult for me to achieve, but it was kind of like, okay, cool. Like I'm shooting well. I should be dude, Carry Optics Nationals, I ended up taking like 98th place or something like that. Like half of the match was master and grandmaster level shooters, which is unheard of at a USPSA match, right? And I learned so much about shooting a red dot on a handgun at that match, because like after the match, I was talking with Nils about what was going on and what I was seeing, because he was like, you know, like what happened, like what, like not to say that you're not a bad shooter or you're not a good shooter, but like, dude, come on. And the thing that I found was that I was so set on the iron sight mindset that I refused to pull the trigger on my Carry Optics gun until the dot was in the center of the window. So even if the dot was in the center of the target, but it wasn't in the center of the window, I would correct to bring the dot back to the center of the window before I would pull the trigger. So I was losing a lot of time, because every shot, the dot, I was waiting for the dot to come back to the center of the window.
Dude, I do that exact same thing. Like I don't think I've shot a red dot pistol in a match. I may be wrong on that. It's been a long career, but I do that exact same thing. Like I was just talking about that 1911 I shot. It had a dot on it, which was kind of interesting. But I was doing the exact same thing. I had not even considered. I mean, I guess like now that you said it, like I know that you don't need to have the dot in the center, just because I've shot dots on rifles for a long time, and that's like one of the greatest things about them is like is if you can see the dot, it's going on the target. It doesn't matter where it is inside the gun. Whereas like with a scope, you need to be in the exact same place every single time, so you can actually hit your target. I had not considered that with the pistol. That's interesting.
That it was a mental barrier. The other mental barrier for me was that because the after I told Nils about that, his next question, or his next statement was kind of like, well, why are you like paying any attention to the dot in the window? Your attention's supposed to be on the target.
Yeah.
And then you put the dot on the target and squeeze the trigger. You know, so the other issue that I've had to try to overcome is getting over dot focusing and be more target focused. Yep. So yeah, like all my training sessions so far have been about look at the target, bring the dot to the target, and then squeeze the trigger. Not there's the target, where's the dot? There it is. Put the dot in the center of the target and then squeeze it. It's trying to break that. Like there's a reason why it can be faster, and it's because you're not having to transition your focal point back. Just stare at the target, you know.
So I'm going to interrupt you again real quick here, because that's what I do. But so I remember years and years ago when I first started shooting competition, I was shooting production in like our local USPSA ish matches, and one of the guys there was saying like I'm target focusing, so he gave me this drill to do with like, you know, switching your focal planes, and I found a drill online, and I want to say it was like Ben Stoker, maybe it wasn't, but it was like basically like a string with beads on it, and you would just like kind of look at each bead, and you would focus your eyes, and you're training your eyes to focus at different focal lengths. And as I'm now, you know, 43, focusing or changing the focal distance, like target to front sight, etc., is much more difficult than it ever has been. And I think a lot of that is like what I'm doing now. Like I'm sitting in front of a screen, you know, and I look at that one focal length for several hours a day, and I forget like I need to go out and look at the trees and look at the airplanes and stuff like that and keep my eyes moving. Or I could just switch to dots apparently and just only look at the targets.
Well, you know, it's funny. I actually have a different approach to that. And granted, it's because everyone's a little bit different. One system works better for one person than the other. I actually, even with my iron sights, I mostly target focus unless it's a very difficult shot at a far distance. So the majority of my shots nowadays with iron sights, it's actually, I'm staring at the target. I'm watching the holes appear in the target, but I'm seeing my sights in my peripheral vision. And I'm just going, no, that looks good enough. Let's pull the trigger and see where the dot is, kind of thing.
In 3-gun, that's kind of what I do as well, because we have such a wide open target usually, and you can be sloppy as hell, which is not necessarily a good thing until you get to like those little MGM hexes that are like 3 inches or 4 inches or whatever. And then those ones, you got to look at that front sight.
Yeah. So, and there is still, absolutely a bit of the focal transition that needs to take place regardless of how you're shooting and stuff like that. But, and honestly, I also feel like sometimes it's just a matter of like the next thing that I'm trying to or that I'm planning on working on this next stint before Multi-Gun Nationals is not getting out to the range until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Because historically, I wake up, I get dressed, I load the car up, I go to the range, and I start a match. And I'm done by noon, and I'm home by 1, right? That's what we do. So whenever I go to a major match, the mornings, I shoot pretty awesome. Afternoons, I suck. Historically, I have a harder time staying focused, staying engaged. I make more mental errors every time I shoot on afternoon squads because I wake up, I go to the gym, I eat breakfast, I get dressed, and then I sit on the hotel bed for 4 hours waiting to go to the range. And then once I get there, I'm lethargic, I'm tired because I've just been sitting around, or I've been amping myself up the entire time, and so like I'm just tired from being amped up for so long, and now I have to execute. And then you get started, and then you get stuck behind a squad because they had 3 reshoots, so now you have to sit down and relax again and try and not amp yourself up. But so one of the things I'm planning on working on, preparing for Multi-Gun Nationals too, is to start training in the afternoon. So I want to get up, work out, go do some work, answer emails, sit around for a couple hours, and then be like, all right, now it's time to go get fired up again, and then go to the range and practice and really work hard on staying focused and engaged through the afternoon heat and after sitting in front of a computer for 3 or 4 hours or whatever. That's the other thing that I'm definitely planning on working on throughout the next 31 days or something like that.
Yeah, that is that's not training people talk about a lot. Like that's very important, but people don't talk about that. I'm the complete opposite. Like I have my best stages in the afternoon, as long as it doesn't rain or whatever. I'm not necessarily a good morning, especially the first stage. I've got like, I don't want to be here. I feel like I'm going to barf, like I have.
Well, like if you stop drinking so much before you get to that barfing thing will disappear.
I was just about to qualify that. No, it actually doesn't for me. Like for years, I ran like Spartan races and stuff and 5Ks and everything. I would always vomit before because I would get so nervous and excited and everything that
really,
it's like, yeah, it's kind of annoying actually.
I've never been so excited that I vomited.
I have. I'm like a puppy. I chose instead of peeing all over, I'm just gonna vomit.
Comes out the other end.
Years ago, I shot the Vortex Extreme. Is it this? No, not this one. I shot the Vortex Extreme with my buddy Mike, and we're just like hiking up this first hill, and I'm like kind of coughing, spit and stuff like that. And I'm like, hang on a sec. And so stop and yak. I'm like, all right, let's do this. And he's like, are you okay? I'm like, I am now. I wasn't a minute ago.
What the hell just happened there? Are there balloons in that? Like,
yeah.
Did I just witness a drug drop?
No, it's stupid, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I'm super excited to shoot some 3-gun again, man. Multi-Gun Nationals, I'm excited. I'm excited also, the other thing that I'm excited about is the fact that it's at a range that I've never been to. So that was one of the things. Lake. Yeah, that was one of the things about getting into shooting that I wanted to do, was the idea of traveling around and getting to experience a whole bunch of different ranges and different regions and stuff. Well, then USPSA for the longest time got to that point where they're like, the next Nationals is in Frostproof, Florida. Hey, we're going to do 9 days of Nationals in Frostproof, Florida.
Yep.
Hey, we're going to have 6 different Nationals, all of them in Frostproof, Florida, except for single stack, which is going to be in Quincy, Illinois. But
now it's like Talladega.
Yeah. Now this year is Ohio.
Illinois? Why Illinois? Illinois seems like the most horrible place to go shoot because of the firearms laws. Gun law.
Well, so Quincy, Illinois was just historically, that's where Paso Park was, which was part of the Single Stack Society, which was like the organization that kind of backed up the whole Single Stack Nationals thing.
I got it.
So it was a historic reasoning behind doing that, but not sure why they stopped doing it there. But
I was, I know it's rude to be on my phone, but I was just looking up the episode number 376 of Prep and Press. I had Adam Maxwell and Kevin Harrington, who are putting on them with the crew, are putting on USPSA Multi-Gun Nationals. I'd watch the YouTube video for some little recon of what the match is going to be like, because they go over like, oh, this is what we have at this stage. This is how many targets are going to be there, and we have the map of Forest Lake up on there from Google Earth, and you can see like where everything is. This is where the shotgun's going to be. This is where the long range is going to be. You can use that little measuring tool to see how big the bays are. I got your back.
Word. Well, I'll say I'm not too worried about the size of the bays. And luckily I am super.
Well, there's other people listening, John, just so you know.
Well, I don't care about them. No, I'm just kidding. I love you all. No. What's the point of, well, here's the thing. I don't want to stress myself out or freak myself out too much. At the end of the day, I also know that even if I were to walk away with the title at 3-Gun Nation or Multi-Gun Nationals, I'm still going to clock in and go back to work on Monday. So it's not like it's life-changing. There's no super stress or pressure or anything like that. I just want to go and get back into the 3-gun. I think Multi-Gun Nationals is going to be fun as hell. They put me on the open super squad. I don't know why, but they put me on there. So I'm getting to shoot with, I had a chance to sit down and have lunch with Jerry Michalik at the Zombies match after the match was over. So I'm super excited. Like anytime I get a chance to sit down and just talk to Jerry, like hear his stories and stuff, I'm all for doing that. So I got to shoot with him, shooting with Scott Green, shooting with I think is Cody Leeper? I can't remember if Cody Leeper is going to be there or not, but Frelick's coming. I mean, it's a stacked squad.
Yeah.
So
bunch of good people too.
Once again, everyone's going to be like, wow, everyone looks normal except for that guy in the goofy ass pants. Oh, hey, and I just watched him shoot. Why is he on that squad? So
who's the charity case?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, but that's always, I mean, Christ, if you look back far enough, there was a time where I was on the squad with the AMU, Nils Jonason, and me at Multi-Gun. It was like, how did him and Nils are riding together and driving together and sharing gear. Okay, got it. But
yeah, I mean, that was like the focus of the first podcast you and I did like years ago, man, was you were the weird dude in weird pants that was like just trying to figure everything out. And and here we are,
still
like,
am.
full circle. Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to refigure it all out. So I should probably go back and watch that episode maybe.
Yeah. see what past John would tell future John to do.
Yeah, no. No, like I said, I'm just very excited. I've got all this gear that's just sitting around collecting dust, staring at me every morning when I work out. All my shooting gear staring at me, and I'm just like, God, I got a lot of open gear that's never been used. I've got all these 19-round magazines, and for shotguns and stuff. I'm just like, I need to get to it. So this year, like I said, when I told them, I was like, hey, just FYI, I'm going to shoot some 3-gun this year. They were like, great. We haven't had much Rock Island Armory 3-gun material to be putting out on social media and promoting and stuff like that. So they were perfectly happy with me doing that. Vortex, another company that supports me greatly. I mean, if it wasn't for them, not the hat, because that's Vegas Golden Knights Stanley Cup Championships, baby. But my shirt, I'd be topless without Vortex. I'd be also bottomless without Vortex because I'm wearing Vortex shorts. My socks are Vortex. Like all the glass that I got on all my gear is all Vortex optics. And the thing is, when I talk about getting into hunting a little bit, like I didn't realize how much I was like, oh my God, I've got binoculars. I've got a rangefinder. I've got so much stuff that goes into hunting that is already set up. This is amazing. Mm-hmm. So I got like a pair of the Fury binoculars. So it's the binos with the rangefinder built into them and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, yep, that's coming with me to Multi-Gun Nationals. Holy crap. That's going to make ranging things. Because that thing is accurate AF. I've
got a set back here actually that are still all dusty from the last time I used them at an NRL match. And have you ever shot NRL Hunter? Oh man. So you gotta find targets, and then you have to range them, and then you have to shoot them all on the clock. And so like Furies are just a shortcut to all that. Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah. I haven't gotten. Yeah, that's just another thing for me to take me away from being home.
What major town are you closest to in Missouri?
I mean, the biggest one is Kansas City. I'm an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. That's not bad. Gotcha.
No, it's not bad at all.
The reason I was asking is, the Gadsden range where Generation 3-Gun is, they have all kinds of different matches there. They have like, I think they go out to 1,400 yards. Yeah. So they have like PRS-able matches, and then they did like NRL 22 and NRL Hunter, and then a bunch of other cool stuff there. So,
I've been out of the game for so long that like some of these matches, I was just like, oh yeah, I remember that one. That is that still a match? Because like
for sure.
When I left, Three Gun Nation was the thing, so it was all about, are you going to this Three Gun Nation match and this Three Gun Nation match?
Yeah, we're not doing that anymore, just so you know.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, I figured that. I knew there was a problem when I got DQ'd twice in one day and still won $5,000.
You still talking about that? I think that was the first time you and I met in person. That was Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
That was the first Three Gun Nation match I went to. It was the Nationals. Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, because you did a live broadcast there, and of course I bring it up because again, have you ever met somebody that got DQ'd twice and still walked away with money?
No.
I don't think it'll ever happen again in the history of the shooting sports. So
no.
I hold that record.
That's going to be my thing. Anytime I run into a former Three Gun Nation pro, is hey, remember that time John McClane DQ'd twice, won $5,000? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, exactly. It should.
I'll make you a compilation video. It'll be great.
That'd be awesome. I love it.
Well, okay. Speaking of videos, so you have also stepped up your content creation game. You've done a lot of longer form YouTube videos, and you're also doing a podcast now, the Open Action Podcast. Now, is this just a John McClane thing, or is this for Arms Corps Rock Island? Like, what's the deal here?
So when we came up with the idea, it is for work. It's with Arms Corps and Rock Island. They're pretty much like the primary sponsor, supporter of the podcast. But when we came up with the idea, I let them know right off the bat that I wasn't going to do an Arms Corps Rock Island propaganda machine. No one's going to listen, because if all they're hearing is, hey, so on today I've got, this person, let's talk about how awesome Rock Island is. Like, no one's going to listen to that.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies miss that in their marketing. Like, content marketing is a thing, but you have to be smart about it. And just man, I won't call any names, but I was on a manufacturer's people can probably figure this out for the next videos I'm going to drop, but I was on a manufacturer's YouTube channel the other day, and it was just like, this is how you remove the grip, and it was like ding, 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 and it was like, there's no background music. Like, bro, I can hear you breathing in the microphone. Like, what's going on here, man?
Yeah, no, instructional videos are all done separate from the podcast. No, but basically, so I told him, I was like, look, so here's the deal. Like, if I have a guest on and they happen to show, so my first guest ever was Julie Golub, who shoots for Smith & Wesson. And we talk about Smith & Wesson firearms, and we talk about the fact that they're good firearms. They're awesome. If someone came up to me and said, hey, I'm thinking about buying this, I would tell them there's nothing wrong with that gun. You're making a good choice. So it was like, don't fire me because I say another gun company makes a good product, kind of thing. But the big thing behind it was like, I didn't want it to become just another podcast, because, like, being my background, I'm sure a lot of people are probably like, oh, get another competition shooting podcast. Like, how many times can we listen to all these shooters talk about what they do and over all these different podcasts, whatever. My thought process was like, well, we have a lot of guys that create that content, you included, right? But it's very heavy on the competition world. Let's talk about, what do you do for training? What happens when this, blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to do a podcast where it was almost like Joe Rogan, but like for 2A friendly people, where it's just like, hey, I've got Morgan Wade. He's a pro BMX rider, rides for Matt Hoffman bikes. He's a medalist at the X Games. Like, oh, hey, by the way, this guy's got some cool ass guns. So let's chat. And we talk about whatever it is that we talk about. Sometimes it goes into shooting. Other times it goes, I had John Scouten on for an episode, and everyone would assume that it's all about shooting USA and what is it like to buy. No, for the first 15 minutes of the podcast, we talked about bourbon. So it's just a good, fun conversation. It's almost like you get to kind of see, and I am planning on obviously bringing on a lot of competition shooters, but what I'm really going to try and do is make it about, like, obviously we know you're a great shooter, but what else do you do? Like, what else interests you? What else is, like, let's find out more about you as a person, rather than just being like, oh yeah, that guy's sick with a Canic. Like, well,
yeah, it's adding another dimension, right? Because shooting is like very like, we're all pretty one dimensional. One person I think does it really well is Taylor Olhausen. he came on since you were in your single stack days. He's in Texas. His family, he's really just killing it in a modified division this year. But his content consists of like a lot of practice and stuff like that. But the nature of where he practices is, I believe, like from contextual clues, like family land where they store equipment for their business, which is oil rigs. And so like that adds that extra dimension to it, you know? So now you're like, oh, there's this other part of the story that you know, we're not necessarily seeing. And then you know, he's a Olympic lifter and things like that. But to your point, like from like a perspective of someone just looking on the outside, you see like a BMX rider and you're thinking like, oh, that'd be the last person that would be into the 2A. And, you know, now you're getting to see that other side of people. I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. So, and we've got, there was another guy I did an interview with named Kenny Thomas, who was like, if you just listen to his resume, he started off as an Army Ranger that ended up being on the ground in Mogadishu during Black Hawk Down. So he was there for that experience. He left the Army to become a recording country music artist.
Sweet.
Which happened. And then now he's a motivational speaker. But somewhere between becoming a motivational speaker and being a recording country music artist, he also got into movies because he is the band that is playing in Sweet Home Alabama during the bar scene and the festival scene.
I'll take your word for that one. I've never seen it.
Oh, it's one of my guilty pleasures. I ain't gonna lie. I love me some Sweet Home Alabama.
Mine's Pitch Perfect.
If I can kiss you anytime I want.
I have no idea what that means.
Just watch the movie and you'll know, and then we can talk about it together.
Yeah. We should do a watch along podcast. Just me watching Sweet Home Alabama for the first time.
We totally should. I'll wear my pants just for that. But yeah, so, you know, it's like I said, it's just these conversations that happen where you're just kind of like, oh, well, I never knew that, or I didn't think about that. Or it's just different, you know, perspectives and stuff. So, yeah. And so we broadcast the video versions on YouTube, but you can listen to Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Open Action with John McClain. And I know like we promote mostly the video stuff from YouTube, but I also know like the thing that sucks about the YouTube app is as soon as you close the app, it stops playing the podcast. So me personally, I always listen to my podcast through Spotify.
Can I give you a pro tip on that one?
Well, what's that?
You should know this as a podcaster, but so the YouTube Music app now has podcasts. So it's just a different app that you download and you can listen to the videos with the app closed, just like you would on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Well, there you go. For all the people that complained about it being on only the video, then there you go.
There you go. So yeah, catch Prep and Press and Open Action Podcast on YouTube as well, on YouTube Music. Download YouTube Music.
That is a pro tip. I'll have to.
It's brand new. It's like, I think it just started like the last week in May or something like that.
Got it.
Yeah, brand new. Yeah, YouTube is making a run at podcasts, but that said, like, don't put all your eggs in that basket because they are still censorious.
Oh yeah,
censorific.
Yep. No, but yeah, and I have been trying to increase some of the videos I've been producing. I got pretty lazy with YouTube, just being like, when they're all match videos, like I stopped doing so many matches and stuff. I stopped creating content. One of the things I came up with recently was, I do a set of videos now called prize gun review. So every now and then I'll win these prize guns, and typically I've always sold the certificate or whatever. But I got to a point where I was just kind of like, you know what, like. You know what might be fun was, why don't I just do a honest review of a gun that I have no ties to the company? So if I say like, wow, hey, this gun's an absolute piece of garbage, and I'm going to explain to you why I think it's a piece of garbage. Like, the company can't get mad at me. They didn't send me the gun for free. I won it from a prize table. Now, granted, am I going to be really that harsh on a gun company? No, I'll bring it to their attention because I'm more than happy to give criticism as far as being like, hey, this kind of sucked. So like, you guys might want to consider changing that out because I think you have a better product doing that. But it was just this idea of being like, people can take my word for it because I shoot for Rock Island. So if I pick up a CZ pistol or a Glock pistol or whatever. It's kind of like, I'm going to give you an honest review because it's not like it hurts. Like, I'm not going to get fired from the company for saying a negative review or saying something negative about the product kind of thing. Right. So that was another thing I did. I started doing rental car reviews because of how much we travel. I was just like, hey, this time they put me in a Nissan Rogue. So let's talk about why I hate this car or why I loved it from my trip. Because, you know,
I love it, dude. I love it. Well, it's that that match life that people really like. You know, it's that real life content that people like. It's the behind the scenes, because like just throwing up your stage videos on Instagram or YouTube doesn't really do anything. You know, recently, so I've got a buddy that bought a Geissele Super Duty, and he bought a Sig Spear LT, and he's like, I've got the current Special Forces and I got the one that they're going to go to, and I'm going to shoot them both. I'm going to see which one I like, and then I'm going to get rid of one. And he chose which one he liked, and then he called me up. He's like, hey man, would you consider shooting these and then just give me your opinion? And so I did a video on the whole thing and just gave like my, like, this is the first time I'm picking this up, and now we're shooting drills with it and stuff like that. And then I chose a winner on it, and it was super popular. And so, or I guess for my channel. And then the guy lent me, you know, several other guns. He's like, well, try this one and this one. So like that whole, like Dave Shoot Your Gun or John's Prize Gun thing, there, that kind of thing can have legs, you know, and grows the rest of the channel, and then gets more eyes on like your podcast and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm just really trying to. I'm finding out how important it is to also be coming out with constant content creation, and you know, if you do something and then you wait a month to post your next video, like, well, I've discovered 3 other subscriptions that I'm now following along because I lost interest in this one because nothing new was coming out. So I'm just trying to put more stuff out there. But I'll say this, it does hurt the training process a little bit when you constantly have to stop, replace, you know, change out the camera angle and start and stop. And yeah, it's like wonder, oh, that was a bad take, or, oh, that was an awesome take. Oh my God, I forgot to push record. God damn it. Now I got to do it again. Like, you know, so it does affect training a little bit. So there is an aspect of it too, when it comes to me, where there's some days where I have to be like, all right, you know what? Phone staying in the car. I'm just out here to train and practice. Let's not worry about filming content and stuff like that. But I do constantly want to be putting out good content. You know, I did a whole series called Making A Class, where I talk about, as a shooter, when I plateaued as a B class level shooter and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get to that next level. I did a whole series talking about these little things that I had to change, and lo and behold, once I made these changes, I made it to A class. So I've got series like that going on. I will even post like random things like, you know, Nomi's 3 now. She's getting into baking and cooking. And so every now and then we'll be like, oh, does Nomi want to bake some cookies? Let's film that and put that up. So we've got Naomi teaches you how to bake peanut butter cookies, or, you know, whatever. But either way, it's I'll say this, like, I'm definitely doing it for me. I'm posting the stuff that's interesting to me and that's funny to me and cool to me. If anyone else wants to follow me along on the journey, great. But the fact is, it's like, I definitely don't want to be that guy that's just trying to figure out, like, well, how am I going to weasel people to coming onto my page? Like, I don't want to be clickbait. I don't want to be, you know, anything like, I want to create good content that people are going to, you know, find use for.
Well, I think that's a good goal to have, and it's a longevity goal. Right? Like, there's, you can clickbait and blow up pretty quick and then fizzle really fast, or you can just continually put out good content for a long period of time. And I think that's the right way to do it. So smart move.
Now I'll say this though, on Instagram was doing the bonuses program for a while, where if you had enough followers, they would authorize you to, for 1 month, post as many reels as you could, and based on your views, they paid you on it, right? And that was like that was a way, like, I did that stuff anyway, so yeah, I'm going to sign up for it. And that was easy for me to make a couple $100 every month through Instagram.
So FPS Outdoors. So you're also, with that moniker, you're also making holsters and mag pouches. Is that correct?
Yeah. So FPS Outdoors started. So FPS does not stand for feet per second. That's actually fancy pants shooter, for anyone that's
I thought it was first person shooter.
Oh, no, fancy pants shooter. And that's me, apparently, right?
Branding, baby.
I came up with that idea because I was like, you know, when I first moved out here and got into hunting, it was about like, okay, I have no clue what the hell I'm doing. I've watched Beat Eater. I've watched the hunting public, but like when I went out deer hunting the first time, they said, okay, there's a stand here, there's a stand here, there's a stand here. Just pick one, go out there, sit around, stay quiet, and see if anything comes around. Like that was the extent of it. So FPS Outdoors was this idea I wanted to do of like city slicker John McClane, that's a speed competition shooter, tries to figure out if he can even stay quiet for 30 minutes at a time, and so
isn't this the plot for Sweet Home Alabama? She's like some high-priced lawyer that goes to the country. I don't know.
Oh, maybe I'm Sweet Home Missouri. But it was also this fact of like, when I was in Vegas, I didn't have a lot of resources to look and learn about hunting because like I didn't know anything about the tagging process. I didn't know about exactly, right. And it was expensive. Like in Vegas, it's a lottery system. If you want to go hunt a mule deer in Vegas, like you don't just go buy a tag. You have to apply. You have to put your name in for the lottery, and if you get selected, then you do all the process, right? Before I moved out here was like 3 months before I moved out here was when I found out that you could go coyote hunting without a tag or license. You just go out and you just call them in and shoot them because they're a nuisance. They're a predator varmint, and they need population control. No clue. Right. So FPS Outdoors came about because knowing how that felt for me was kind of like, if I do these videos where I talk about like, look, I didn't know jack crap about hunting, but here I am just going out, giving it a try, learning as I go, follow along, and I'll teach. Hopefully you learn from the mistakes I make, and I'll explain why they became mistakes after we learn about it together, kind of thing. Right. And then from there, I started creating FPS holsters just as a way to start making some extra cash. It was something that I did for fun anyway, was just making holsters for people randomly. And I just kind of decided like, I'm just curious as to if I could make anything happen. So I came up with a couple different packages. I've got one here. So this is it's a Glock 19 inside the waistband holster. So I've got this, and I've got these mag pouches that are different than your typical one, because the screw is typically where retention has always been adjusted on mag pouches. Well, for this one, it actually has a silver set screw in here, and that's what adjusts the retention. So the retention is adjusted from the plastic piece pushing into the cavity of the mag pouch instead of it squeezing it.
Oh, okay.
So this mag pouch alone actually fits the Glock 9 and 40 mag pouch or magazines. It also fits my Canik MC9 mag pouch or magazines. And then I've actually even put SIG P365 magazines in this pouch, and it fits them all. So it's kind of like a good universal mag pouch for your standard 940 double stack type pistol. And then you've got an inside the waistband holster. And I do a holster and 2 mag pouches for $70. Something like that. So
wow.
I've got a competition kit that I do. It's just right now I'm basically doing them for Glock 34, 34, 17, 19, and 26 size guns, because that's the first mold that I have. I'm working on getting more. But yeah, for that pouch or for that package, I've got one holster and 5 magazine pouches that are all, they come with this foamy is what it's called, the foamy style belt clip, but they're all drilled and prepped for Tech Lock and ELS. And that kit is $170 for one holster and 5 magazine pouches. So,
wow.
I just wanted to try and come up with some sort of way to help simplify the buying process. Because I went with Glock because it's a platform that covers a lot of different divisions. So if someone wants to get into production, if they want to get into production, they want to get into limited, they want to get into limited optics, they want to get into carry optics, that gun, they make a platform for it all, which is why I went with that platform to start off with. And sometimes it's like, well, when you're just getting into shooting, it'd be cool to shoot production, but oh wait, now I got to buy extra mag pouches, and each mag pouch is $60, and I don't want to drop a whole bunch of money to get. Well, now I've got a package here where it's $170. You get all 5 mag pouches, so you have enough for a production rig. And then if you decide to go limited, you only need 4 of them. So now you've got an extra one. You know what I mean? So
and you provide them in like the most John McClane colors possible as well. I love that part of it.
Yeah, I can. I had some people, and these were custom builds. So the Rock Island 5.0 again is the new gun we launched, and I had some customers that contacted me about it and asked for some, like one guy wanted a zombie green one, so I made one for him. And then Advanced Tactical, which is the retail site that sells a lot of the gear, they actually just put in an order for me. So they've got like a pink one, a white one, a blue one, a purple one, and a zombie green one all going out there. So yeah, I can do them in different colors or whatever. But now, like I said, it's been fun. If it turns into something more, then that'd be awesome. But I'm definitely doing it just to try and help simplify. It's Kydex. It's a tough ass product that can really take a beating. But then, just wanted to simplify it. If someone wants to give competition shooting a try without having to invest hundreds and hundreds of dollars on their gear, then, I've got something that they can just simplify the shopping experience and not have to. They could actually tell their significant other what they paid for it.
And then tell them nothing else about anything else, and they'll just assume that's the anchor, right?
Exactly. You can find deals on everything. Look at this holster kit that I got. It was an awesome deal. So
I love it.
Well, the $400 trigger job I just put on my $400 gun.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. Well, John, that's awesome, man. I'm happy for you. It's great to have you back shooting 3-gun. It's cool to see all the content that you're producing and the happiness that is living in Missouri, man. I'm happy for you, dude.
Yeah, man, it was awesome chatting, sitting down, getting to talk with you again. Like I said, it has been a while, but IPSC World Shoot just was on the brain. So
yeah, I was trying to think. I think the last time you and I were at a match together was like Red October, and I can't even remember the year. Like that was a long time ago. So it's great to catch up with you, man. So FPS Outdoors is where people find you. Looks like your YouTube is still just John McClain, right? At John McClain. I can't believe you got that.
Yeah. So yeah, the YouTube, just search for me for John McClain or Fancy Pants Shoot or whatever. The FPS Outdoor stuff is in a playlist under that primary thing. As far as Instagram goes, FPS Outdoors, or it's FPS_outdoors for that side of it, which is the holsters and the hunting and all that. And then still at McClain John is my primary one for the competition side and, the goofy things I do at home and all that kind of stuff. But
nice. And then Open Action Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yep, absolutely. And if anyone out there, honestly, like I said, this is not about necessarily just celebrities or people that are big. Like, I want to talk to interesting people. So, if you're a rocket scientist and you love guns, then I want to talk to you. I want to talk about rocket science. I won't understand it, but it's like I said, I'm just trying to have cool conversations with people that are willing to come out and, or even if you have something serious you want to talk about, I'm fine with that too. But just don't be mad when I crack inappropriate jokes at inappropriate times.
Nice. I love it. Well, John, it's great to have you on the show, man. Always a pleasure. Glad to see you're doing cool things. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you on the range, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it. Multi-Gun Nationals, anyone that's going to be out there, make sure you come up and say hi. And I hope to shoot many more multi-gun matches. Actually, after we go off the air, you're probably going to have to give me a list of fun matches to go to because it's been so long. I don't know which ones exist anymore or which ones are worth it.
Right on, man. I got a list for you. Thanks for watching, everyone.